guitar came to me in 23 pieces. It is a 1948 0018. Now, the purpose of this discussion isn't that I put it back together. It is to talk about some of the repair techniques that I used. This guitar, from what I understood, was a wall hanger on a back porch for a number of years. You can see we would not call this museum grade. Probably more, I don't know what to call it. Player's grade for sure. I'm going to show you, we're going to get some close-ups of it. I had to make a bridge because the bridge was gone. There were no frets in it. I had to refret it. I did have to do some fingerboard repair. Tuners were gone. I had to replace the tuners. Pick guard was gone, so I had to get a pick guard. The amazing thing with this, and I'm going to hand this off to Glenn, you're going to see a lot of cross-grain breaks. You're going to see, the only place where I actually had to replace any wood was right here. That was the only piece of wood that was missing. And right here, I had about 1 inch of purfling that was missing. Other than that, all of the pieces were here. Now, over here, these were splinters that I had to put back in here and here. This was gone, and here I had to be creative in my filling. What I used here, they're called shellac sticks or burn-in sticks. They actually work very well. I could find them that were reasonably close to the color. I tried putting a piece of wood in, and it just wasn't going to match up. The shellac filler, kind of like a putty, but it doesn't really matter. It's hard. You melt it in. I used the soldering iron, and it really got hard, got nice, and it's not very noticeable. This guitar really went through, this was probably with Patton at World War II. Here, this was totally cross-fractured. There was 3 or 4 pieces that came up through here, a number that came down through here. Over here, likewise, some pieces, I think there was 3 pieces that came up here, all the way up into the neck area, here. What was surprising was when I looked at the wood, I had to decide, do I use Titebond, hide glue, fish glue? Well, the fact is this. Hide glue is a wonderful material, but it's not miracle water. My friend Pat DeBurrow turned me on to West Systems Epoxy. We're going to be putting up a bunch of little photos. You'll actually get to see the way I repaired this. A product from Stu Mac. It's 3M thin tape. I laid that on each side of the crack, and I put all of this back together. Now, everything fit nice and snugly. You can see here where I have the cross grain crack. I can only get that in so far. I used tape to hold it together, and then I mixed the epoxy. It's a 5-to-1 mix. So I worked the epoxy in and basically layered this up. Now, you may not be able to see it very well, but there are a number of areas of here where the wood was compressed pretty well, so I also had to fill. I did use some hide glue at some spots. I used some Titebond at some spots. But all of the different glue was used for specific reasons. If I thought I had a contaminated joint, I had to rely on epoxy. If I had clean wood, I could use hide glue. I could use Titebond. If I had mild gapping, Titebond. In here, and the goal was not to make this look perfect. My customer actually wants this to look this way. He doesn't want it to be mismatched. The finish on here was very, very badly alligatored. I used acetone and thinner to kind of re-amalgamate it and get it to work back down. And I only had to put a few mild coats of thin lacquer just to get the finish to be flattened out. The back I didn't have to do nothing to other than re-glue the braces. Even most of the kerfing was still here. So surprisingly, the box of parts that came here had everything that I needed except the frets and the strings. And again, this is just a remarkable little instrument. Has a nice little just remarkable little guitar. Compression fretted, and like I said, I actually found the old tuners. And my friend Richie Crowder, this is his little beast, and he's going to like it. So, just because a box of parts is a guitar doesn't mean it's firewood. Take your time, learn how to do different repairs, find out which different techniques work for you. This area here, you'll see the actual pictures. Rare earth magnets, they make wonderful clamps. So, be creative. In the words of John Wayne in McClintock, sometimes you have to do some thinking, drinking, buddy. There you go. Just take your time. It took I have about 20 hours in this thing, and I'm very, very happy with the way it came back together. And it's a wonderful sounding guitar. So if you see a pile of parts, don't pass them up. You might find something really special. 48 0018 CF Mark. Thank you, Richie.